Welcome to
What's a block?
Triple Blockheads,
Back set. Block down.
the podcast for all things volleyball.
Aloha and welcome everybody to another episode of Triple Blockheads. Makani here with Frank and Marc. Today, fellas, we're going to talk about the emergence of the transfer portal. Kind of two words that are kind of whispered in the back alley sometimes. Transfer portal. But it's here, and I think it's really here to stay. Rules continue to change, but I think it is a big part of our volleyball collegiate structure now. I think it impacts the club space relative to how parents and clubs are helping and supporting individuals and athletes on where they're making their decisions at that next level. But Marc, would you like to kind of talk a little bit about conceptually where we were and kind of that emergence of the transfer portal now on where we are?
For sure. So I would say, I don't know the exact date, but over the last decade, there's been a big push from the NCAA to empower student athletes and give them a little bit more ownership over their process and what their college experience looks like. And I think that's great. It also showed its face in terms of the amount of off-day requirements, right? They're just looking for a lot more student-athlete input, and I think that's awesome, right? The transfer portal has kind of been a byproduct of that. So previously, there were some rules around where you could transfer. Schools were able to say you can't go in conference. They could limit your decisions. The transfer portal has kind of alleviated a lot of those penalties, I guess, for transferring and giving kids some freedom. Now, for better or worse in most situations through this, but I think overall it's been a good thing. Couple rules just about the transfer portal, how it's set up right now. For volleyball, there's 2 windows that you can enter that portal. That's going to be December after season. For the most part, it happens right after the first weekend of the NCAA tournament. That portal will open. You can go in at any point through like January, beginning of January. The second window is May window. So after your spring semester, you can enter the portal, find somewhere to go before fall, and then be ready to go by the fall. Okay. Now,
do those windows close at all?
They do. So they're open for like 2 weeks and then done. So the only exceptions to those rules are if your coach leaves, I believe you can enter at any point. If your coach gets let go, you have like a free pass to go, or grad transfers. So if you're going to be a grad year and you're getting your 5th year somewhere, you can kind of enter whenever, and you'll see those kind of pop up throughout. But most of the time, we're spending our attention in December in that first transfer window portion. Right, season has just ended. Kids usually know I'm staying, and then now there's this mad rush for 3 weeks to get a kid that fits your values and can get on campus and get enrolled and do all the things before classes start in January. So it's just a pretty tight window.
Yeah. So I think the other question, right, is can you get out of the transfer portal when you come in?
That's a good question. Part of it is up to your university. Okay. So if I am Sally and I enter the portal, I'm going to have a conversation with my head coach. I'm going to enter the portal. Now that generally goes one of 2 ways. Cool. Good luck. We'll help you find your home, but you're not coming back because you've decided that you're going to leave. Okay. As soon as you enter your name in the portal, your school has the ability to take financial aid, any benefits that you've been getting, like they can cancel those at that point because you're no longer a part of the program. Like
you're a free agent.
That's a real thing. Right. So definitely know that going in, or if you're on the fence about going in, that's a conversation you need to have with your coach. It's like, okay, if I do go into the portal and I'm just kind of fishing around and I don't find something, it's like, can I come back? Is this a place where you'll be? And that's a good segue into loyalty and programs and what culture we're trying to build here versus like, this isn't a place that you just shop. Like we're trying to build something. So, short answer, yes. Long answer, but with
kind of
some stuff.
with some impacts,
Yeah.
with some residual impact.
And when you say school, you mean the institution or the volleyball staff program deciding that stuff?
Probably both, right?
Yeah.
So no decisions about students' well-being get made exclusively from admin or coaching staffs. So that's definitely a conversation that has to go through both parties.
Got
But
it.
in most institutions, it's been predetermined. Like if somebody enters the portal, this is how we're going to handle it.
Got it.
Type of thing.
So what ESPN and other, you hear it even on the tickers now, hey, so-and-so has entered the transfer portal. Usually they're talking about whether it's Division I basketball, Division I football. But it's impacting in all NCAA sports as well. But what's been the impact of our last couple of years, by volume and numbers on our programs?
I think the numbers are probably more alarming than people suspect. Alarming might not be the right word, but
surprising.
So yeah, surprising, I would say. So in general, we'll just go just D1. There are around 250 Division I programs. Okay, let's assume everybody has about 15 kids on a roster. That will give you 5,250 athletes. Mm-hmm. Let's say that's how many Division I volleyball athletes there are. Over the last few years, what we've seen is about 1,000 people, Division I volleyball players, enter the portal per year.
20%.
That's 20% yeah. of all Division I volleyball players will enter the portal at some point.
Staggering.
That's a crazy high number.
It's like 4 to 5 kids per team, right?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Per year. So that's nuts. But I think the trends that we're seeing, like if you look back to 2022, there was a total across all divisions of about 1,700 people that entered. Mm-hmm. Okay. 500 of those were grad transfers. As we've progressed more recently, like 2024, we're over the 2,000 volleyball athlete mark across divisions. And what you see across the board is more in all divisions, D1, D2, D3, they all are continuing to increase. What's starting to decrease actually is the grad transfers. As we've cycled out of the COVID year that everybody had extras of, you're seeing less of those. So in 2024, only 380 grad transfers compared to the 540 just 2 years prior. Mm-hmm. So I think all of that is really, really interesting. I think the other thing to think about is the discrepancy between the two windows, right? So you're seeing about 75-80% of all transfers happening in that winter window when it's that much faster, right? When it's that much shorter to get somebody in and have to make these decisions. You might potentially still be playing in the tournament and trying to handle transfer portal stuff. Like that's where it gets really hard. But those winter windows, like for right now, like 2025, we've only had the winter window open. We had 1,400 athletes, volleyball players, go in across all three divisions in that. That's a crazy number for half the year. Like we're definitely gonna go above that 2,000 athlete mark by the time the May window closes.
That is absolutely wild to me. To your point, I think it's just I don't think those that are on the exterior of the collegiate program building, recruitment, and all those types of things, that number is probably just mind-blowing to them. It's just gigantic. I think with 1 out of every 5 individual changing, I think you also, the winter, I'm assuming, is hot topic because of the fact that you also have new incoming freshmen that are being selections. You have the juniors that are getting offers and whatnot. So everyone's trying to get into the winter to figure out, because those programs are trying to figure out what their next year's roster is before that graduation year too.
Yeah. I'd say for the most part at our level, it won't affect the kid that's committed 2 years away. You know what I mean? Because we are mostly just filling voids that appear. You know what I mean?
Fair.
So we're not replacing anybody in the from a portal perspective unless we lose something through graduation at semester or whatever. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I think it doesn't affect a ton from a recruit standpoint moving forward, like forward looking for the next couple of years. But if they start to get transfers outside of what you're seeing graduate, or it's skewing the position distributions, especially in your position, that's probably worth a conversation then at that point. Because sometimes you may be slotted to, we need a kid for 2 years. Well, there's a good transfer sophomore that will give us 3. Now that's going to overlap for that my first and second year that I'm there, and now I might feel some kind of way about that. So I think it's if you have questions, it's worth that conversation with your future coach.
Situations like that, do you think that what percentage of that do you feel like is contributing to like these number trends? Like if there's 4 kids leaving a team every year, how many of those are just like they're not happy with their role, or they had someone come in front of them, so now they want to go look somewhere else? Like, do you see any trends from your side of things?
So hard to give like a trajectory line of this is the reason versus this is the reason, and these are why. But the general things that we are seeing, you're unhappy with role, playing time, right? Or culture, team, coach vibe, right? Those are the 2 real reasons. I'm happy, but I want to play, or I'm not happy and I need to leave. Either of those are justified. You know what I mean?
Now, probably the opposite side of it. Why does the starter from the mid-major team that just won conference, why is that person leaving?
I think that is what we're tending to see more of is kids thinking they can play higher. And in a lot of cases, they can. But for every one that can play at that next level, there's 2 that can't. And they're going to make a lateral move or maybe not even find a spot. But, I do think the continued increase in numbers year to year is correlated to the amount of revenue share and money that's getting pushed into volleyball. And as that increases, and across other sports, right, we're seeing and hearing basketball numbers and football numbers of what these people are getting paid. Volleyball's not that far behind, and we're on that path. So if you're a mid-major and making nothing and you have 2 great years and they're saying we'll give you 50, 60 grand, would you like almost financially irresponsible to not look at it and have those conversations unless you're very, very content and happy and feel like you can get everything you need future if you want to play pro, if you want to do all these things. Like if you feel like you can do that, you don't need to leave. But there is a dollar amount that's floating out there that's saying, hey, look at me. Come over here. You know what I mean?
Or if you're in the Ivy League and you're
real.
like, I'm going to make way more money than all you guys after this.
I think the last thing around just kind of numbers and trends is, and you probably don't have the numbers offhand, but what your gut feel on those transfers that are going P4 to P4 versus a mid-major to P4? Like, is it 60-40 P4 to P4? Like, what's that?
So there's less
Do
P4
you get to
P4.
see all the results of where people go?
No.
Okay.
Like, not unless I'm
Searching
really active
rosters
on
and-
social
Yeah,
media
yeah,
and like trying to see where they all sign.
Sure.
But I see who goes in and then I'm like, oh, that'd be cool. And then completely move on.
Yeah.
Don't know the exact percentages.
Sure.
I would say there's less P4 to P4 transfers overall. Most of those are financially motivated.
Sure.
That mid-major to P4 is that athlete that still has something to prove. So it may not be financially backed as the main motivation. It's like, I think I know I can play at the highest level, so I want to go play at the highest level. And
Sure.
they're willing to do that without the guarantees of rev share and some of
Right.
these monies. So I think just if you think about the way our sport is constructed with the Power Four, there's only so many teams, right? There's only so many P4 athletes, but there's a ton of mid-major athletes. So I think you'd see a skewed percentage to the mid-majors trying to jump up, or everyone trying to play that next little bit higher, right? A low mid-major to a higher mid-major, or a mid-major to a Power Four. I think that's probably a majority of kids.
Yeah, that I think that was where I would have put my money on that too. I lied. I have one other question, and I think this is kind of off script, but as we continue to talk about this, I just wonder, I'd love maybe even at some point getting a JUCO coach here, but like, how is this impacting the JUCO or 2-year programs? Because you get some of these kids that we've recruited at NAI in the past, or we lose them to JUCOs because that's their path. They're going to go to JUCO, they're going to prove themselves, the Cam Ward path, right? Yeah. I'm going to go to the JUCO, then I'm going to get to a mid-major, and then maybe to a P4. I think some of these mid-major programs are almost selling it like, hey, come in here for a year or two. We'd love to keep you for 4, but I can get this elite level talent who hasn't got recruited at a P4, and then you can use that as a feeder program because of the transfer portal.
I think that there's real merit to that strategy. I've had a couple conversations with former coaches about that. It's like, man, I do think there's a window into mid-major volleyball where you can run it like a JUCO and be like, oh, commit for 2 years. I will train you up, and then we'll get you paid or whatever. And hopefully you run such a good program and culture that the kids don't want to leave.
They just want to stay.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the goal. But I think that there's an element to the sell there that I think you could make strides as a mid-major doing that. And then if you are actually producing the product that you're saying, I think kids will stay more often than not. But that's all relative to what that price point turns into.
Yeah, I think it all depends who you ask too. If you look at, some of the D3 level, the NEI level, the JUCO level. I mean, if you were to take captures of time with 10 years ago, and the level of play versus the level of play now, is it the same? Is it the different? Is it higher? Is it lower? Taking relative to just overall athlete advancement as well. But you see so many players that may have gone into those other channels are going into the D1 channel, whether that be at the middle to lower level mid-major, where they were not All-Americans in those other channels.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's real.
So from an athlete perspective, why enter the portal? So we talked a little bit, right? The two whys around, just the, hey, I want to play, and hey, I'm unhappy. Talk a little bit more in detail around, hey, how can I make this decision? Or what would you coach others on how to make that decision?
Yeah, I think first, this all spurred from a flawed recruiting cycle calendar to begin with, right? So kids were having to commit at 13, 14, 15, right? Before you really know who you are, right? Before you've matured and know what your interests are really and what you like about yourself, right? You don't know anything about yourself when you're that young. How can you possibly make a great decision at finding the right place for me in 4 years from now?
Exactly.
And who I'm going to be. So I think that initial system tried to be countered with a transfer portal. Well, let's give them the freedom. And what you see is kids are way more educated at 19, 20 as what they want, what they're looking for, what's really important to them versus what they think is important to them at 14. You know what I mean? So I think from that standpoint, the portal's a great thing, right? I didn't know what I wanted when I committed at 14. I know what I want now. It's not this. It's this. And then you make that decision, you go to that place, you have a great experience. I think that's to me the biggest benefit of it right now. Now, there's also the financial piece.
Sure.
To that is if I'm coming off a huge year, I was just all region conference player of the year in my mid-major conference. I might be just going to get some cash, and I think I can play at that P4 level. So.
What are some of the complexities? It might be that might be the decision because of whether that be from a financial perspective or just internal proof. Like, hey, I want to confirm to myself that I am a P4 athlete and that I can do this. What are some of the considerations to really think about making that quick transition, especially in the winter period?
Progress, I think, whatever your motivation is, whether it's that need, whatever that thing is that you're like, I'm not getting this here, I'm going to get it here. Whatever that is, that's got to be the primary thing. So whether that's academic or team culture-wise, any of that stuff. So I think know what your priority list is that matters to you and make sure that it aligns with what you're looking at. Overall, those kids are more educated by that point because you're dealing with adults. So that recruiting process is easier overall, right? I feel like my stress level on transfer visits is a lot lower because it's usually like the kid and maybe a parent and they've been in college and they've gone through that recruiting process. Like it's not the big, I don't know, show and dance that it could be for an official visit weekend type of thing.
Pretty authentic, right?
Yeah, it's like, here's who we are, here's what you are, what are you looking for, this is what we got,
It's a business transaction, though. Like, a little bit.
And we got to know quick because we got like 2 days left.
Yeah. It's like, and you'd have to be moved in 2 weeks. So what is this? And by the way, Christmas is next week. So like, how quickly can we run through these and still feel like you know the kid and know what you're bringing into your program and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Do you see some of your prior club athletes that have moved on and moving into the portal and even contacted you to kind of talk about, hey, here's what I'm thinking. What are your thoughts? What does that discussion look like?
I think since the transfer portal's gotten kind of crazy, we've maybe had 1 or 2 Division I kids who had an unhappy experience with a coach that wasn't the culture they thought they were walking into, and that was the reason for their transfer. But outside of that, nothing yet. They've all had, so far, good experiences. They were able to connect with coaches that were pretty real about what to expect, and I think they did a good job of finding places that they were going to what they thought they were going to. So far, yeah, but like as Marc said earlier, these numbers are only going to get crazier, and the different complexities are only going to increase for the kids that have just left. I think our 16-year-olds who are going to get calls on June 15th, I think the portal hasn't really impacted that, like as Marc mentioned, but like our unsigned juniors still, you can definitely tell that
that's a real thing.
Their communication is getting delayed because they are talking to schools who those schools identified that they needed someone in that class, and then come February, they've communicated that they no longer need an outside or a middle. And then if we do have any unsigned seniors, like I think it kind of is the same thing as our junior class. But the unsigned seniors, I think if you're an unsigned senior, you maybe are shopping too big. Your situation might be still a little bit different than the juniors. But that's what I think we see the biggest impact of is that. And like I'm trying to get kids to see my college experience where I didn't transfer out, and I maybe could have because of playing time or whatnot. And I just try to relate to them that like I had such a positive experience getting to form relationships with my teammates that have lasted my whole life so far. And there's so much that comes of that after the college piece. And I think there's a lot of value to going somewhere that you can see yourself at for 4 years, regardless of what your role might be, But I don't know if that's realistic for the generations to follow. I don't know if that's the right pitch anymore. I don't know if that's the right way to see things for our athletes coming up,
I think it has to be, though, right? It's still like you're still looking for a home. You're still, right? And a home is all of these things. It's the culture, the people, the volleyball, the academic, right? It's all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you could just throw a number and make it just about that number.
Yeah, I think it's like 10 years ago, like Makani mentioned, like 10 years ago, were there as many kids hopping between clubs, And the kids that are going to the college ball now, I think what you guys are experiencing now is what club volleyball has been for the last 10 years, There's just no official portal where you can see which kids want to leave. It's just kids hit you up and you see them at tryouts, and that's the portal right there.
They all sign 1-year contracts.
Yeah, and is that what they're used to? Is that why it's so normal? I think that's probably a layer of it.
So the lack of loyalty, I guess that's what I wanted to talk about or phrase it as. You're thinking this is started in youth sports with their ability to, not ability, but the fact that everybody just on to the next if they're unhappy.
If you enter the volleyball ecosystem, you're entering at the club level probably, and you're gonna be taught organically what's acceptable and what's not. And depending on where you come from, like either it's a hot mess and people are jumping clubs and coaches, it's normal for coaches to reach out to you illegally and do things and try to get you to play on their team next year while you're still in season. Not an Iowa problem, but it's more of like a Texas thing probably.
I mean, to that point though, Frank, I mean, if it's 20% in Division I, that's flipping teams on a year-to-year basis.
It's very similar to club.
Very similar probably more than that in the club space, going from club to club on a year-over-year basis.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't know any better, if you think that's just normal,
it's pretty fascinating.
Why can't it be normal? They're gonna why can't it be normal at the next level? You know?
I mean, I think from if I were to take this back and if I'm a non-coaching lens and if I'm looking from a parental or even just a support system of the athletes, I think I just come back to if you're continuing to move, because there's athletes that we probably know of or have coached in the past, maybe not directly in club or in collegiate, but maybe in camps or in HP or whatever, who move multiple times in their career, right? 3, 4. I think I know someone who moved 4 different institutions.
I know a 4 for 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the question becomes, what are you chasing?
Yeah.
Right? Like at some point, what is the thing? And I think you have to be authentic as the athlete and as people surrounding these athletes. I think you have to really challenge them to say, what are you actually chasing? Because you're losing some of the stability that you have by moving continuously.
I'd be interested in seeing their club experience, you know? How many clubs did they go between their 8-year career, you know? And what were their motives behind it? Or maybe it's similar to what's happening for them in college.
If there's anyone out there that's in a graduate program who needs some level of test case or a case study that need to do for their project, that would be a really, really interesting test case to get some data, right?
Yeah.
Around, is there a correlation between collegiate transfer portal and that entry at the athlete level and their experiences in that club space?
Yeah.
Because I know when I grew up, you know, I was pretty loyal to my club, and that wasn't like a crazy thing. You know, it was like I kind of played the same people every year.
That's the norm.
That was the norm when I grew up, and that's, 2011. That's not even that. That's 14, 15 years ago, you know? But
do you think that sourced because, like, obviously social media is not as prevalent, the world is not as connected at that point, so you play for the club that's local that your friends play for, right? That's what you did?
Well, I was in SoCal, so there's still
options, right?
I still had so many options, for sure.
But you picked your place because your buddies were?
I picked the place because I felt like they were, for me, the first ones that gave me a chance. So I felt a little bit of a loyalty to that, and I feel like the rest of the people that I mostly got to play with were kind of the same way, you know? We were all probably, some of us developed at different rates and maybe could have made different teams that would have been more successful, but I just don't think that was something that really was a big deal for us, you know?
But I think the cool thing about that was, like, they took a chance on me, so I felt like I owed something to that club to do it. I don't know that exact same thought process rings true
Today?
Generational.
Correct. I would agree.
And now I'm trying to backtrack into what are those things that have led to this point that we're at.
Right.
The entitlement, not that they took a chance on me. It's like, I'm going to play club. It's a matter of where.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Versus they gave me this chance, right? It's an opportunity instead of an expectation.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
And I think, and as we transition from the athlete view, because I think the athlete there's obviously some motivators and factors and drivers from the athlete that has created the situation that we're in. But I think the enabler part of it is the collegiate programs themselves, right? And there is a benefit for the portal for them also. So why don't we just talk a little bit there, right? Is like, why is a program exploring the transfer portal? Or why would? Factors.
The initial thing is known versus unknown, right? So to Frank's point, if you get past your 16s year and you're uncommitted, that's 17s, 18s, right? Most high-level programs have decided they're unsure about your potential level. I know that this kid can play at a collegiate level because she's playing at a collegiate level.
And here's all the tape.
And I have every match that she's played all year to watch and see that she is doing the things that I know that she can do, rather than the 1 year off risk on a tweener kid. Then it's like, can I trust the club's going to develop them the way that I think they will be ready in time? Like, there's some uncertainty in that. And for so much of our job and livelihood is based on recruiting and winning and doing these things. And if you don't, you lose your job. And so we're looking to mitigate risk as much as we can. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think you're seeing a somewhat of a, not a full divide, but kind of two sets of mini camps on kind of program builders, and then again, program builders obviously still need talent. That's the assumption, right? Mm-hmm. But then there's the elite talent getters that they're just accumulating, trying to get the dream team.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you have other programs, maybe not as financially deep pocketed, that are really trying to say, like, I have to build a program because I need the best kids to stay. And I have to do that through mindset and culture and fit from a personality and culture perspective.
100%. I think we're all trying to look for our competitive advantage, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I have all the money in the world, then I don't need all these other things.
Right.
It's because I'll get the most talented kids because they're the ones garnering the most money. You know what I mean? But I think for 99% of everybody else, that other camp is what is really important, right? You have to create a good environment for the kids. You have to create a good culture. You have to provide a great experience,
Right.
so that they don't feel like the grass is greener somewhere else, right? I've said it before. I'll say it a million times. The grass is greener where you water it. And if the lawn looks okay to begin with, you're going to be more likely to water that lawn than if it's dead and covered in weeds. You're like, here, water this. And you're like, no.
Yeah.
I want to go to that nice lawn over there.
Are their Division I kids getting paid more than their head coaches?
Yes.
Oh, that's crazy.
I don't know about their respective head coaches, but I would say yes.
Hey, get on the line, Susie. No, you get on the line. I'm not running. I get paid more than you.
That is like one of my greatest fears.
Who are you talking to when I make more than you?
I mean, the money that you see somewhere, I mean, obviously Division I football is like the poster child for those crazy numbers that are out. I said it'll be done. But like, but I mean, yeah, like those numbers are wild.
Yeah.
Wow. And then you're starting to see, this is off topic, but like you're starting to see decisions on football, especially basketball as well. Like, hey, I'm going to stay in school because I want to make more in my.
You are seeing a lot more
NIL.
fourth and fifth year basketball players than you.
Because my rookie
previously.
deal is the rookie scale is not the same as my NIL.
Less than what they're making in rev share in a lot of cases.
Right. So we talked about what we liked about, how you can use it to benefit. And I think those are all valid. The new coach and division to division, that is something that I think is very, very valid. Because to your point, we're a recent, like, what have you done for me lately? A recency generation that if you don't do something quick, you're not going to be there very long. So I think that makes a lot of sense. What are the risks in that transfer portal? What do you not like about that or some of the things that you may want to, pitfalls of the portal?
I mean, similar to recruiting, it's how well can you get to know a kid in that amount of time?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you really know the quality of character that you're bringing into your culture? That's always a concern. I think that's the big one. I think selfishly, as coaches, like, I don't get very many breaks during the year, right? I get after season and I get May. And then they just put these two windows where, oh, yeah, no, you should work instead.
Thanks,
Like,
NCAA.
hey, I know you just finished this really grueling season. Here's 2 weeks to handle every transfer. How many were there? 900 Division I transfers this fall.
Over the holiday.
Here's 2 weeks leading right before Christmas and convention where you need to figure all this out and get them on campus and visit. And by the way, they can't visit post the 22nd or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Do transfers contact you via email, kind of like a high school recruit would?
Yep.
Okay.
So they can reach out to us prior to entering the portal. We can't reply or
that's
say anything.
sketchy.
There's a lot of sketchiness in the gray area portal, and a lot of it is from the club side. Like, honestly, it's a kid going to their RC and being like, I'm going to enter the portal. And then that RC gets on the phone and shops her to 20 different schools.
Which is how they ensure they don't enter the portal until they know that there's some level of fit or interest.
No, sketchy. And then you see kids that will enter the first day and commit the first day.
Right.
Like, well, how does that happen?
But let's be honest.
If cheating was not going on.
It's happening. That same thing happens in club.
Oh, yeah.
That's
For sure.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it's all right just because it's
No, I'm
happening.
just saying, but like that's it's a practice that people probably feel is more normal than it should be because they've been doing it for their whole prep career, probably.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think with that being said, do you see more times than not that there's a prior relationship with that transfer because the window is so short. If you someone who you've never had any relationship before, I mean, you guys are P4s are all recruiting similar level kids and maybe having some level of discussion with similar level kids. So, I mean, the likelihood of saying, hey, I visited X school and I went to Y school, it's not working out at Y school. My first call is back to X school because I visited them when I was a junior in high school, whatever it might be. Do you see that a lot?
I just think that's good practice from the college's perspective. Like, those are the first names we're going to go after are the ones that we recruited around the first time.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think to that extent, we are also trying to, like, even after a kid tells us no, we want to still maintain a good relationship.
Right.
Because we'll catch you the next time around. 1 in 5. Like, odds are I'm going to see you again.
Hey.
Will I be able to?
You up? Hey, you up right now?
So what has the club's role kind of morphed into relative to the transfer portal? I mean, is the topic does it come up in parent conversations or prior athlete or current athlete conversations?
Yeah, it definitely does because in a couple of different ways. Obviously, the first one is what we talked about, just like, why does my timeline feel like it's never starting? It's because, well, these schools are in this situation first or handling that first. And then, like Marc said, it's, we haven't had a lot of kids come to us yet and been like, hey, I'm about to transfer. Can you talk to these schools for me because I can't yet? But we know that is almost like part of our role is to be there for that kid even after they graduate from the program. So if they reach out to you, like, how can you say no? Like, that's a kid that you've maybe trained for 12 years and you want the best for them still. So that could happen, And then my communication to our kids, if anyone ever, asks me about the portal or going to the portal, I just try to relate back to them my experience and how much I would not have been able to go to so many weddings of my friends if I wasn't able to be around them for 3 to 4 years, So I worry about that with the kids that do like a four schools, 4 years. It's like you graduate and then, like, what do you have for your relationships? How many weddings do you get to go to? How many life moments do you get to go experience with your people that you had to compete with, whether that competition was in your favor or not, So I just think that's the bigger piece to what the game of volleyball should be for the short time you have in college,
Mm-hmm. It's all about.
It's hard though. It's hard,
yeah.
Especially, and like we talked about earlier, it's hard, especially if you grew up in the club system that promoted, changing your jersey every year,
I don't know. I am like, what I'm hearing from you is like connectivity. I want to be connected. I want to do this. I think these kids are way more connected than we were, and that's not a priority anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when I go to a tournament, the amount of like our committed kids that know kids from all over the country or anything, or I follow her on TikTok, or she's TikTok famous and blah, blah, blah. Like, they're just way more connected overall. So I don't know that they value the deep connection.
Yeah.
That takes longer to develop whenever I can have decent connections with all these people across all these states and platforms and whatever.
That's really interesting. Yeah. It's really interesting.
Well, I mean, things are so much different now than they were back then, right? And you have the prize, I'm going to use that word loosely, but the prize is bigger, right? The prize, you can get to a point where you have NIL and you have the financial backing, and then you have, and the competitiveness of these athletes are higher. So it starts early because there's motivators, and I think parents have a big play in this. I think some clubs have a big play in this, is that they're driving the fact that to do this, you have to continue to kind of look out for yourself. And how can it be best for me? And I think in some cases, some clubs are trying to build culture and stay in the culture, right? But if to get to the top of the mountain, like, they're taking the path that they need to, and that might be jumping from club to club to club, to program to program to program, but it's really about how are they chasing that motivating factor, whatever that prize is for them.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see like how these trends affect the workforce and 20 years from now, and this generation is working, and do they just bounce from company to company, or when things get hard, like how do they do that in the real world? That'd be interesting to see. Whoever's doing that case study.
Yeah, exactly. Add that in. I mean, for the local corporate America guy here, I will tell you is that those that are coming right out of college it's probably 50-50 if they're going to last that first year or they're not.
Oh, really?
It's tough, especially entry level jobs and whatnot. Like they're coming in and then
it's grunt work.
Yeah, I mean,
stuff.
we know you have to pay your dues, but there's some level of, hey, that's not for me. I'm going to change. And I think, again, that's just a real life microcosm of what we're talking about relative to athletics.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's all transferable.
Yeah.
So portal here to stay?
Yes. Like until rev share gets some kind of collective bargaining and just like gets reined in and has some kind of real parameters around it. The athlete empowerment is like, that's where we're at. So the portal's not going anywhere. It will have to plateau at some point. It can't just continually keep increasing the number that go in each year. But
what kind of changes would you make to kind of improve or I guess improve is pretty broad.
Yeah.
I guess in my mind, I'm like, all right, improvement to me would be having some level of playing ground that has some equality, right? And that doesn't have to be every single D1 team, but maybe it's in certain tranches or whatever it might be. But like, what are some of the ideas or things that you think about relative to improvement?
I think there has to be some hard and fast, right? No longer institution options. If you're going to enter the portal, you're off aid. Yeah. Like this is you want to be treated like pro athletes. This is like the trajectory that we're on at the highest level. They want the rights of pro athletes, then you get all the responsibility of being a pro athlete. Then you're going to be on contract. You're going to have to do these things. You know what I mean? So I think that's a thing that I think would make people second guess a little bit. I also think we don't need a 4-4 transfer. You don't need to transfer each year. Like I'm all for like the motivation isn't the main thing if you're doing it every single year at that point.
100%.
So maybe you get 2, maybe you get 3 if you medically redshirt. I don't know.
Or a grad 3.
Yeah, a third is a grad. You know what I mean? But the like freedom just keep chasing a paycheck bigger to bigger. Like I don't love that.
Loyalty points. Point system.
Loyalty points. The other piece I think would be beneficial to universities is to retroactively pay some of this rev share. You graduate and now you get X amount.
Oh, the Dodgers.
Or bonus. Yeah. Or you get a kicker.
Bonus, right? Which
the Dodgers payroll plan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like we're going to push it.
Yeah.
Because we want you to graduate from here. We want you to have a great experience. Yep. And here's a sizable amount of money on the back end that's actually useful in the down payment of a house, purchasing a car, like whatever's next for your, like relocating to wherever your new job is. Like real life money versus some grand here, some grand here, some grand here, some grand here. And what did I do? I bought a bunch of aloe clothes and you know what I mean? Like wasted all this money when if it's a lump sum at the back end,
right?
I'm not as scared to move across the country to take this risk for the next job or whatever's happening.
And you're incenting at a lower risk for you from a program perspective.
It's a great idea.
Definitely.
Yeah. Great idea.
Any ideas from a club's perspective or even just general?
I think it's not crazy to think that all this is going to happen in club too, outside of the normal reasons for leaving clubs. I think there's no reason to think why NIL is not going to play a factor in club volleyball, and there's going to be 17, 18-year-olds who are getting paid more than their coaches and
than their club coaches.
Definitely club coaches. But you know what I mean. There's no reason to think why a club player,
McDonald's,
why a club player 10 years from now isn't making also $80,000 a year because they are already signed and NIL money is already starting to go into them pre-college or any of that stuff.
I think that's already happening.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it affects areas like ours. It'd be crazy interesting to see if clubs. There's always scholarships going out for kids in club volleyball, especially if you can do that as a club. But it wouldn't be surprising to see if clubs are paying players to come play for them. You know, like I'm going to pay you $50,000 a year to play on this 17s team. You know. Would that not get the kid to
How
switch
does
clubs?
that definitely? How does that work?
Oh, your club has
for
to
your
be
books?
your club has to be just mega big. I mean, or you have donators, or
You have one family who's in there,
Who's an
who has
alumni-
a kid
alumni
in
of the
program
school.
who is saying
Yeah.
all these people need to come play with my kid or whatever it might be.
or they're alumni of the school. They work on the school's board or whatever, like where that kid's going, and they're bringing money to the club, and the club's then putting an open roster together and
This
just
is all
paying
hypothetical,
everyone.
right, Frank?
Hypothetical. It's definitely not something we're doing. We're not paying kids any money. But if you're name the top 15 clubs in the nation who are 10 times the size of our club.
How many teams do you think you'd need to warrant margins big enough to do that for, let's say?
I definitely think you would
kids?
need
50?
people donating money for sure.
Couldn't do it just off of your team margins.
I think you need people donating money, and you need to be also running a massive tournament, like a qualifier size tournament, to have that sort of cash flow.
Crazy. Anyway,
But same thing for schools, right? I mean, 10 years ago, could schools have ever imagined, paying players? Like, where were we going to get that money from?
womp womp. Transportation.
Well, I mean, I think this was a fun topic because I think it's something that is new to us over the last few years, becoming so popular and kind of immersing ourselves into understanding it and the impacts of it. But I think the three of us all come from a different lens of it, but at the same time, we're still trying to understand it too, right? Like,
For sure.
and it continues to evolve. It's so different than how we grew up. And it's not saying it's good or bad, but I think there's risks and there's values. And I think I'm always one that comes back to the athlete themselves and what's good for that athlete. And I think just surrounding themselves with people that are going to give them honest and authentic feedback, know what your why is. And then I think the programs have valid reasons and some risks to take on those things. Everyone's working within the rules within a transfer portal. And it just, as it continues to evolve, I think the conversation evolves, and I think we'll pick it up when it changes again, most likely.
Yeah.
I appreciated that this feels like a mirror to society and how it's been changing over the last decade. And I think looking for more of those parallels between normal world and our narrowed sports world, I think they're more closely aligned than we probably realize or give it credit.
We sound like old people.
Really feeling old.
I mean, these young athletes, their habits are derived somewhere, right? So we're like, oh, get off my lawn.
Yeah.
My lawn's already green.
Yeah, my lawn's green. Get off my lawn.
Oh, man. Well, until next time, y'all.
Blockheads.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Triple Blockheads. Make sure you like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so that you never miss an episode.